The Midnight Gospel is about consciousness, perception, and this object I can't describe in the first minute of a YouTube video. After Adventure Time, and before Adventure Time, Pendleton Ward teamed up with a podcaster and comedian Duncan Trussell, that's how I choose to pronounce it, to create a psychedelic sci-fi animated podcast series for Netflix, and most certainly for adults.
Truly a scene from heaven. Shit.
Clancy sends his mind into another body and into another world, where he then interviews individuals, and the two discuss philosophies about the mind, society, mysticism, spirituality, and death.
So, you're death. Losing people to you is so painful.
It is.
Do you have any advice for people who are, dealing with death in their own lives?
Yeah. So, the best thing you could possibly do.
And if you paid close enough attention, you'll notice that these ideas have been sneaking their way into Adventure Time over the years. So this is right up Ward's alley, and pairs well with his psychedelic spaghetti limb style. Now, people have been animating podcasts for a while. The Ricky Gervais Show is probably one of the most popular examples. But pick any fairly popular podcast, Let's Play, or just even stand-up act, and odds are that someone has animated it before. Waking Life also comes to mind just for the philosophical subject matter.
I mean, just hit a light switch every now and then. If the lights are on and you can't turn them off, then most likely you're dreaming.
But what separates those other examples and the Midnight Gospel is the blending of both story, narrative, and interview.
It just takes a second to set up. Sorry about this. Wait, hold on.
I don't know how they go about it, if they have the interviews first and then establish a premise, and then they get the interviewers back in to add additional dialogue for that premise. Or if they have a guest in mind and think of a metaphorical setting for the topic to take place. Like episode 4, the themes are pain and forgiveness and healing. This is symbolized by a talismanic rose that absorbs blood. It heals, but also becomes a weapon. And the character that possesses it always keeps it clenched in her teeth. This is the avatar for Trudi Goodman, a founding member of Inside LA, a nonprofit that promotes and teaches mental health recovery through meditation and mindfulness.
And sometimes that's the best we can do. We're not going to love our enemy, but we don't have to be obsessed for our lifetime with the harm that was done to us.
Yeah.
Episode 1 is about drugs, and it turns out that the zombie virus that people have been avoiding this whole time has mind-altering euphoria.
This feels really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I'm in love with it. I'm in love with it.
Most of the guests are down to roleplay as their characters, and that itself is not exactly a new concept.
You're with, what's your character's name? Teflonto.
Here it's just interesting seeing them having these candid conversations and then being given prompts like, you're running away from zombies.
Why are we even running from them? They're pretty slow.
I know.
Yeah, look, we could just stand. Look, let's just stand still.
Let's come get me. Come on, zombies.
Right here.
Or bartering with a fish man.
Watch this.
3.
5.
Fine, Steve. 4. And that's my last offer.
There are a few times where it doesn't work out as well. A few spots where the guests have addressed Clancy by his real name.
You see Duncan.
Clancy.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the season finale where the mask just completely falls off. I assume it is the real-life interview between Duncan and his mother, who is preparing to die from cancer.
A dozen times that you've had 6 months to live.
I have been told to call a crematorium and find out how much it would cost to be cremated because I had maybe a month or 6 weeks. And I have made the call to the crematorium and I found out that it was $750. Thank you very much.
It is a deeply moving and candid conversation between mother and son, and it feels like an ending and a beginning, as is symbolized within the episode.
but come on, there's no way to stop the heartbreak. What do you do about that?
You cry.
As the finale of the season, the greater narrative within Clarence's life comes to a head. As a spacecaster, he is not very successful. He only has one subscriber.
And to my one subscriber, Hernock Jensen, I live for you. You're the reason I wake up in the morning with a smile on my face.
He moved to the country to avoid any aspect of his old life, including talking to his sister, from whom he has borrowed quite a substantial amount of money from to buy this universe simulator, and refuses to learn the proper maintenance of the device that he has hinged his career on.
How was I supposed to know you needed fucking oil every day?
Master, I did tell you.
No, you didn't. When?
I showed you a week ago.
That's a week ago.
I showed you the day before that.
Okay, twice.
I told you in your hammock.
Well, 3 times. Big fucking deal.
I showed you 5 minutes ago.
Now it's too late!
Of course, I don't think this job is the point. Clancy is avoiding his own problems by going into other worlds and talking to individuals who are way more motivated and focused than he is. Those who actually put in the legwork to pull off the stuff that he wish he could do. Living vicariously through the lives of others, as we sometimes often do. Our favorite shows, our favorite video games, or just people in real life, really. Do we actually try to imply the lessons about determination, compassion, and insight into our lives? Or are these morality plays just secretly power fantasies? I admit I see a lot of myself in Clancy, things I am definitely trying to change. Clancy also has the habit of taking items from these adventures. He particularly likes collecting shoes.
Free boots!
But I want to go back to this rose again. Clancy is very protective of the rose and shows legitimate concern when it starts to die, because he himself vomited on it.
Rose. Oh no, somebody puked on you.
However, he only really likes it because it's a memento of his trip, and he ignores the true meaning and purpose of the flower. By the way, it turns out that taking artifacts from the simulator is super illegal, but people do it all the time, kind of like downloading music in the 90s or playing old ROMs. Only if you do it too much, your computer will explode and you will get absorbed into a nightmare existence.
Shouldn't we get him out of there?
I'm afraid it's too late for this sorry sap. His heart's still ticking, but his mind is pickled.
Clancy actually gets into a lot of trouble by giving out one of these artifacts to his only fan. Just a simple ice cream cone, which is actually enough of an infraction to get him swatted.
I am a cop!
Ironic, since his neighbors are the ones doing the truly nefarious stuff with the simulators. The season ends with Clancy accidentally falling into the simulator right before it explodes, and escaping into the simulated world, where we can assume he will continue to have his philosophical adventures. Actually kind of sad that the simulator itself died.
Good morning, Master. How are you feeling?
Coffee.
I will make coffee for you, sweetie.
It is unclear at this point if there will be a second season, but if it turns out that there isn't, this is a pretty nice ending, implying that Clancy has grown somewhat wiser by his experiences.
You mind if I interview you for my, am I dead?
Just be here now. Just be here now.
Now getting into the more granular aspects and the actual history of some of these guests has me raising my eyebrows a little. For example, the first guest featured is Dr. Drew, who I vaguely remember being a celebrity doctor, like maybe a few steps up from Dr. Oz and Phil. There are some ideas that had me rolling my eyes, and some I found to be really interesting. Duncan is a charismatic and accessible host. But again, what I truly found outstanding about this series is the style and the format. Real-life interviews turned into metaphors, encased into a larger narrative of a person trying to find out what's out there, as we're trying to find out what's out there. Through a vagina.